Hello and welcome. I'm Clarissa. Thank you so much for joining me. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a now and when for Kylie Jenner. And so this is a astrological insight into Kylie Jenner. And because there's just so much surrounding her at the moment, I think it would be quite interesting to just get to see her from an astrological point of view, because it's so interesting that something like astrology, where it's just like woohoo out there, it can actually make you seem more human. Because when you take away all the glitz and the glam, you just present yourself as a person. And so in astrology, you can get to see what she's all about. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So I really got to see how, there is everybody can relate to her birth chart. And yeah, there is some things that we could definitely all learn from and gain insight into. And so let's begin. But first, if you like the video, please like, subscribe and share. Really appreciate it. And if you would like your own birth chart reading, of course I've got to plug it, honey. If you would like your own birth chart reading, then the link is in the description, along with some testimonials, so you can see what it's all about. So this is just going to be like a mini version of a birth chart reading that I usually do. Just for the sake of this video, let's not make it too long. So let's have a look. So Kylie Jenner, obviously she's a Leo, and her degree placement as a Leo, it shows that she does work hard, and that she sometimes doesn't see the bigger picture, because she is in the moment and she has her ideas, and she remains quite stubborn in those ideas. So she does like to work really hard. And one of her placements, it shows that if she is disciplined, she gains success. If she is, shows her passion, shows her direction, then she can gain the success from it. It's just where she has some problems with, she has a moon in Scorpio. And the moon in Scorpio in the 10th house is a very hard placement to have your moon. In Scorpio, it's hard to place to have your moon, because the moon is a representation of our emotions, and in this Scorpio energy, it's very, very intense. It becomes very intense. It becomes about what you can feel under the surface. And so because Scorpio in its nature is about the underneath, we're talking about Pluto's energy here, so we're talking about what remains and what resides in the dark spaces. So when your moon is here, it means that you have a sensitivity to emotion, a sensitivity to other people's emotion, to your environment. You could have some intensity here, emotional intensity yourself. If it's used in good, it can make you very investigative and very forensic, just very empathic. If it's used in a negative, it can become obsessive compulsive. It become just very intense. But it also means that there is a sensitivity regarding intimacy. So there is going to be this longing for intense, intimate relationships with just in general. But in the 10th house, this is your career house, or this is your stability, your structure, your status, your financial institutes, banking, health, all kinds of things, like institutional health. So in this area, it's quite public. It's like your public space. I suppose it would be how society views you, how they identify you, what is your status, is the 10th house. And so to have your moon here, it means you're emotionally attached to how people view you. You're emotionally attached to the sense of security, stability, to structure, and essentially how you're going to be viewed with your identity, but through status. And then being in Scorpio, it makes it very karmic, because again, Scorpio energy is a very karmic energy, because it lies in what's underneath. It's in that arena. So anything that's not tended to will come up to the surface to have a conversation, and that's basically what Pluto's energy does. It lies under the surface and kind of shakes the foundation to make sure that new earth is grown from the emotions that we now understand. Also, Kylie with her sun in the 8th house. This is again another Scorpionic house. This is her chart is very Scorpionic, and she also comes from a very Scorpio family. So the sun in the 8th, again, this is a huge. She's got a lot of, she's got stellium in the 8th anyway. So this is basically, she's got lots of planets, aspects in this area. And so she understands the intimacy of life. She is really, really aware of the language in between the lines of life. And you know, she knows how to communicate it in a way, but she does, it does mean that she does like to keep herself very secluded from people, and she has to escape almost sometimes into away from the public. So because she's got a lot of signs in Virgo in the 8th, so this is going to connect to her health as well. So Virgo is health, it's habits, is you know, the things that we do, our work habits, the things that we you know, our physical balance, I suppose, the things that we put our energy into every day, is an intricacy here. So this is where she could become very forensic with her own health, and you know, really have to, she'll see that when things are, you know, out of balance, that it affects her health really strongly. So I've got some extra notes here because I can't remember everything. To write down words. So having a look at her 8th house space, we've got the sun here, we've got Virgo and Mercury here, we've got Venus in Virgo here, we've got Lilith in Virgo here. So this is, you know, all quite the feminine signs here. So she's going to have quite a deep intimacy, you know, in terms of her femininity. She likes to show her femininity, but in a way that is sacred to her. And then with the Lilith here, she likes to, you know, kind of rebel against the, you know, feminine norms. She wants to show you can be your own sense of feminine, and it does well for her emotions. And with it sextiling her moon, it shows that when she feels good emotionally, it shows in her body, it shows in her health. There's a really good way of just, you know, she exercises it, it shows through, it shines through. But going back to the moon in Scorpio, and it's square to the sun. So there is a tension here between, she could almost feel like she has to sacrifice her emotions for the sake of who she is, or, you know, sacrifice who she is for the sake of her emotions. There is this tension going back and forth. One of the things that comes out with her chart that I've had a look at is that she's had this life where she's been complimented, you know, all the time, and she thrives on this, you know, because she's quite sensitive in her emotions. She's also almost a part of her that thrives on being told this and that and this, and this is what she can also be influenced by. So there is a story here in her chart that where she has to become stronger in her direction, but in a way that comes from wisdom. So she's going through these karmic situations where she gains wisdom, because her Pluto in Sagittarius, it makes her wise. It's at 2 degrees Sagittarius, and that's in the 11th house. So she's what we're going to see, because the 11th house is the community, is a collective consciousness, it's the people around us in a broader sense. How do we identify ourselves in society regarding each other? Her Pluto's here, so we are always going to see her transform. We're always going to see her grow wise with the things that she goes through. But because it's Pluto again, it's the underneath, we have to see her go through this, you know, through the emotional barriers. We're going to see her go through, we're constantly going to see her go through this journey through each emotional barrier that she has to go through to become wiser. Because a lot of her chart has indicated that she understands that she's lucky. She understands that she's been, you know, blessed in this life, but it comes with just heavy burden that she always feels that she's got to compromise. And with the moon in Scorpio in the 10th, if the degree that she's got it at, it indicates that she's quite pushed into some of the things that she has to do. It's, you know, some of it is obviously her ideas, but there is expectation, that she emotionally knows that there is an expectation. So let's come to this hard aspect here, where we have the Chiron and the Mars sitting on her midheaven, which is at the MC, and it has a hard square to Neptune in her first. And so with Chiron and Mars here, this is a constant conversation with the concept of pain. Chiron is the wounded healer and is in Libra. Mars in Libra as well, and the degrees that she has it at, you know, it eventually is going to get her to a point where she has to understand working with people that she trusts, that can implement her ideas in the way that she needs to, but it has to help the public. So at the moment, as she's grown up, she could be seen as quite, you know, tunnel vision in the way that she wants to do things. It is more about how it makes her look, how it makes her feel, the environment that she creates around her, this image that she creates. And so as she gets older, she's going to see the benefits of working with people to help others. I think it's probably a similar journey to Kim, because she works, you know, with the law and things like that now. So with Kylie, it's going to be more of a teaching aspect. She's going to ultimately show people, or, you know, maybe she might get to a point where she wants to tell people certain things happen, this happened and that happened. And but it's at the moment she has a very hard way of expressing this pain. Sometimes she wants to just escape it. A good way to offset it for now is to exercise for her, is to, you know, do things, go out and have adventures, and you know, that escapism, visiting other places, going abroad and things, and being in nature, because she's got the Neptune in Capricorn, so it will give her, she's going to have a spiritual connection to nature and feeling a grounded environment. You know, but Capricorn is also business, so Neptune in Capricorn is going to give her these ideas. Because it's Neptune, it may give her, you know, a grand idea, a grand vision of these ideas, and then Capricorn brings it back into being stable. But with the square to Mars, it can be quite hard to implement it, because there is this duality between the things that she wants to do, the ideas she has, and then implementing it and knowing that it's going to cause her some pain, or it's going to cause some backlash in some way. This constant conversation here going. Let's see, what else do we have here? So I think, you know, in general, her birth chart indicates that she lives a life that is really positive when she feels, you know, by herself. She likes to be contained in her own energy. She's got a lot of Virgo in the 8th house energy here. So this is definitely saying that she likes to be very private and very, you know, just contained in the way she wants to feel, even from her own family. And then with, she's got a lot of planets here in the 1st house, Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune. So this gives, this is more about how she is viewed, you know, because it's in Aquarius and Capricorn. So it gives her, you know, this ability to just seem different. You know, she's not going to seem relatable, because the Aquarius and Jupiter here so the Uranus and Jupiter in Aquarius in the 1st house, and it's opposing the Sun. So she's going to feel, you know, in some ways, you know, just detached from her environment. You know, she'd rather spend that space in the intimacy of her own knowing, her own environment. She can, you know, see herself better when she is in isolation. But there is something about her within being in the 1st house that she's got to put herself out there, because it's almost you know, a polarity between the two, understanding that to be able to appreciate the concept of, you know, isolation and confinement and being by yourself, you've got to go through the public foray. You've got to go through the public, stage, because then you can really understand what it means to have your perfect environment of just shh. Okay, what else we have here? Yeah, again, sometimes she feels as though she's got to be pushed into such situations. There is an expectation, especially from, not just from family, but from friends. Again, what keeps coming out is the moon aspect. And, again, she likes to be quite emotionally controlled. She doesn't want it to be seen as though things are out of control. But again, because of Pluto in the 11th house, we are going to see, as her audience, we will have an 11th house space, we will have an audience. But for Kylie Jenner's audience, we are always going to believe that, whatever she creates, there's going to be something else. There's going to be another level of what she does. And to do that, we always know that to get to next levels, we have to go through transformation. And transformation is never easy, because it's about the concept of change, and because it's Sagittarius, this means change in her belief. So she would have to be changing her belief constantly through situations that are ultimately going to be public. So yes, I think that's that on that part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into the transits. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at the transits for Kylie Jenner. So we're having a look at now, which is the time of this recording, is Scorpio season. So Scorpio season means that the sun will be transiting over her moon aspects. And then we've got Mercury and Venus here going also over her moon aspects. So this is where we're going to be almost seeing, she'll be experiencing rather, that some of the emotions that have been lying under the surface are coming to the surface. And so things that she potentially avoided or just put to the side, they are now going to be brought to the surface in an emotional way, because it's her moon. And it's going to be regarding, because the 10th house is going to be regarding her concept of stability, security. The things that she thought were stable are now going to be demonstrating whether they are stable, based on certain things that she would have really known intuitively with the moon in the 10th house, but maybe didn't know how to bring it out. But it created an internal wisdom for her, these situations, but it wasn't on the surface. But now the through Scorpio season is coming to the surface and is creating this super wisdom, like super clarity for her. And then with Uranus in Taurus at the moment, and it's opposed in her moon, this is going to be, it creates shock value. Uranus is really does the most to change your belief system in the instant. It creates good and bad instant changes. And because it's opposing her moon and the sun is going over that, so it's she had at some point in Scorpio season sun opposing Uranus, this would have created some huge shock value incidences that again would have been based on her concept of security. And Uranus is in her 4th house, transit in her 4th house of home, so it would have been about her home space as well, maybe not feeling so secure in her home, things like that. Lilith in Gemini that she's got transit in, so this just means that she could, the way she wants to communicate could be completely different from what's expected from her. She wants to keep her sense of communication to herself, rather than have the expectation of what others want to do. Just have a quick look elsewhere. Yeah, another thing that we can look at is the North Node in transiting over Pluto. And this would indicate that some of what she's going through is what we've seen already, because in the 11th house, and it's the South Node, so it's revisiting energies of the past, so they can come again to be a conversation of where there is tension in the change. Where is there an inability to not change? What things that need to be transformed with the Pluto here? So because it's the 11th house, it could be what we project onto her as well, what we think certain things need to change, how she needs to transform, combined with what she already knows is her own truth. Again, so the North Node transiting is in Gemini on the IC, so it's almost though she does recognize some of these energies already, like the way things have been communicated to her. There's a recognition, and this is what the South Node, North Node does. It creates this constant tension between where we're supposed to go and the things that we've learned, so then we can identify what needs to be changed, and it keeps that motion there. It's almost like a pivoting point in sometimes it's more North Node, sometimes it's more South Node, but there's this pivoting between the two that helps us to continuously look at the direction, or the feeling of the direction especially. Okie dokie, so let's have a look at 6 months time. Okay, 6 months time, which is May 2022. So there is this continual journey. Obviously, there has to be a progression from what she's going through now. The continual journey of transformation for her, because she's going to have Pluto transiting, well, she's got Pluto transiting her first house, and she's got all these aspects in those placements in the first house. So Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter are all going to be having a conversation with the environment that she's in. She may be wanting to change the environment. She may be thinking about how she can heal from certain situations because of the square to her Chiron and her Mars. So she may be wanting to feel as though she just wants to escape some situations, do some things differently, for the sense of her own healing and wisdom. So some changes because in Libra, so relationship area, partnerships, all kinds of manners of duality with other people, even the relationship with her inner self, because it's the 9th house, that's the house of belief and philosophy. So she could be changing the way she views partnerships and relationships in general, maybe becoming more clear and defined about some things, but some quite difficult transformations here. But again, with Kylie, the transformation that she goes through is super wise. She probably really knows already that how much she has changed over the last few years, and this is just going to become even more to the point where she may teach others with the Chiron in the 9th. She may teach others how to heal from certain situations. So yeah, and then she's going to be wanting to seek comfort around friends and things. Friends as well could be going through some situations that she identifies with and wanting to just make each other feel good. She may be wanting to use painful situations that her friends are going through or that she's going through to be a support system, create some stability in some way, because the Venus is going to go over Saturn in her 3rd house with Chiron there. So she may be wanting to use some of her experiences and putting it in a way that's going to be, beneficial. And maybe like, especially the 3rd house, it could be becoming more intimate with family, leaning on family a bit more. Thinking about ideas about how to just ensure, it's almost like, I feel like the same insurance, like ensure some emotional security, ensure certain things that don't happen. And then, so we've got the Mars opposing Lilith here as well. So really making some strong decisions about how she identifies as a woman, not wanting to be tied to certain situations, but feeling as though, you know, again, making sure that it's secure with certain things. This is she's again a big conversation between resources, her own resources, other people's resources, with the 8th house here, and things are transiting her 2nd house, 3rd house, money, value, friendships, close friendships, and opposing her 8th house, which is really about the resources, karmic resources. So and then she just becomes wise and puts things down, puts certain things into place, certain things into, again, you know, tying them up into making sure that they have some longevity. So I think that is it. So, you know, in summary, we're just going back 6 months. So this is now, she's going through a, you know, huge awareness change of transformation, certain things, and in 6 months she just takes some action. You know, there's just time in that, to just things that she's got to put in place, that she wants to put in place to secure herself, secure the things that she's you know, trying to grow, because yeah, she's going to become very protective, or she's becoming very protective over her things, because she's thinking about the future, and you know, making sure that she has respite, and thinking about her health. Okay, I think that's it. If you have any questions, again, if you've liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share. Any questions, comments can go in below. And thank you again for being here. Take care.